Welcome to the Widowed Mom Podcast, episode 322, Trusting Yourself as a Widow.
Welcome to the Widowed Mom Podcast, the only podcast that offers a proven process to help you work through your grief, to grow, evolve, and create a future you can truly look forward to. Here's your host, Master Certified Life Coach, grief expert, widow, and mom, Krista St-Germain.
Hey there, welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today we're going to talk about something I don't think we talk about enough, especially when it comes to life after loss, and that is how to trust yourself again as a widow. If you feel like you second guess so many things now, if making decisions feels harder than it used to, if you catch yourself polling everyone else before you do anything, you're not alone. And in this episode, I want to talk about why this loss of self-trust is so common, what's happening in your brain and your body, why it can hit women harder than men, and how to start rebuilding self-trust in a real, meaningful way. Not with affirmations that you don't actually believe, but with tools that genuinely work. Little update from me. I decided not to go to the cabin. I can't remember when I made that decision, but my daughter decided to come home before she goes to Prague. So I will have a couple of days with her. I was thinking that my only way to see her first was going to be to meet her at the cabin, and then I would be driving her car home, but she has decided to drive herself here. She gets here tomorrow, and then I will get a couple of days with her and then take her to the airport where she will head off to Prague. And I know it's going to be an amazing experience for her. She's in a different role this time. Instead of being a student as a part of a study abroad program, she's on the staff. So she'll be helping other students have a good experience. And she knows exactly what it is like to go to a foreign country where you don't know the culture. And in this case, she's not going to speak the language either. So I know she's going to have a good experience. I'm going to miss her, but I'm glad that I actually get to see her before she leaves. So, okay. Trusting yourself as a widow. Let's talk about it. First of all, why does it even happen? For many of my clients, losing their partner didn't just change their external world, right? It didn't just change the circumstances of their lives. It changed their experience of themselves. And this happened to me too. It literally changed their relationship with themselves. And this relationship is foundational to the way that we experience our world and all of our other relationships. So before the loss, they may have felt very grounded. Maybe not always 100% confident, like rock star confidence, but solid enough in who they were and in how they made decisions. But then after the loss, everything feels shaken. They second guess their decisions. They avoid taking action. They wonder why they can't just figure it out. And it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense to them because before the loss, they perceived themselves as confident. And maybe in all other areas of life, they have been relatively confident. So this doesn't make sense to them. But it makes sense to me now that I'm on the other side of it. Because trust is built on predictability and support. And both of those things, to some extent, get ripped away when we lose our person. So it's actually easy to understand why you perceive that you no longer know what's coming next, right? You kind of realize you never really did know what was coming next. You just thought you did. And now you can see that. And the person who helped you think things through and who helped you make decisions and who was a co-regulation partner for your nervous system, an emotional anchor of sorts, isn't here anymore. So now you're trying to make decisions inside a body that's exhausted and with a brain that's on high alert. So of course, your self-trust is shaky. Of course, you don't feel like you're standing on solid ground. It's not weakness. It's not a character flaw. It's that grief impacts your whole system. Cognitively, emotionally, hormonally, the whole system, you name it, it's impacted. Here's what we know from neuroscience and psychology. When we're grieving, we have less access to the highest part of our brain, our prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain that helps with decision-making and planning and self-reflection, executive functioning, right? You also lose access to the nervous system co-regulation benefits that you had with your partner. And a lot of us didn't even realize that we had this benefit, right? We didn't really realize that the mere presence of the other person was beneficial to our nervous system. Over time, we learned that that person was safe. And so just being around them helped our nervous system feel safe. And in a long-term relationship that feels safe, we unconsciously rely on our partners to help keep us calm or to help calm us down and to process our options, to sense what is safe. So it makes sense that when that person is gone, our nervous system loses a significant source of external stability. And if you don't know this, you're probably making it mean something about you. You're probably making it mean that something is wrong with you or that you're doing something wrong. And if you're not sure how to create that stability internally, then it can be a real challenge. And that's when we notice ourselves second guessing or crowdsourcing, or maybe we even freeze or shut down. And what I find, I'm going to say fascinating, but probably what I actually think about it is frustrating, is that for women, this is often even more intense than for men. Because long before grief, we were socialized to look outside of ourselves for permission, to be agreeable, to be likable, to be good, to not be selfish. And we've been told not to trust how we feel, not to trust our anger, not to act without consensus. We've been told not to be too bold, not to be too emotional, definitely not to make people uncomfortable. So when grief hits and things already feel disorienting, the socialization we've been marinating in for decades sometimes gets really, really loud or louder. So no wonder for these reasons that many widows don't trust themselves. And this is unfortunate, which is one of the reasons I want to talk about it, because not just because it's a miserable experience as it's happening, but because it can actually delay the integration of grief, right? Grief integration is what we're going for. We're not trying to get to acceptance or, this idea that we have about acceptance being the endpoint, some sort of finish line to grief or state that we realize where we don't feel pain anymore. I think we know that, right? We're trying to integrate our grief. And that means we're trying to decide what to make of our experience. Ultimately, we're trying to let ourselves feel all of it and choose what we want to make of it, to integrate what has happened into the fabric of who we are and how we see the world and how we choose to live life going forward. And if you don't trust yourself, that's really hard to do. When you don't trust yourself, it's hard to take steps forward. Even if you want to take steps forward when you don't trust yourself, it's harder. You will keep probably outsourcing decisions to people who aren't living your life. And if you're wanting to love your life again, right, and decide what you want to make of this grief experience and who you want to be and how you want to live, then outsourcing decisions to people isn't in alignment with that. And so you'll stay in limbo. And it's not because you can't move forward or aren't capable of moving forward. It's because you don't trust yourself in the choices that you're making. You're afraid to make the wrong choice, as though there is such a thing. So, self-trust. It does not mean you always know what to do. It means you believe that you will be able to figure it out. It means that you will be able to try something, you will be able to get some new data, you will be able to learn from what you tried, you will be able to adjust, you will handle it, even if it's hard. That's what self-trust is. It's also knowing that we're not going to speak meanly to ourselves on the other side of something we tried that didn't work out. We will be kind and compassionate to ourselves. Without that, healing slows way down. Grief integration slows way down. Loving life again, almost impossible. So let's talk about how to actually rebuild self-trust. And this is not about anything fake. This is not about faking it till you make it. This is not about saying mantras or affirmations that you don't believe in the mirror. It is about connecting with who you are, connecting with the internal compass that you have, even if it's baby steps. So I'm going to give you 5 ideas on how we can do this. Okay. Number 1, reconnect with your body. Interoception, right? Understanding what's happening on the inside of your body. You can't trust what you can't feel. And grief often disconnects us from our bodies. We find ourselves disconnected after an intense grief experience. It can either shut us down, it puts us on high alert, it makes us want to get away from what is happening in our body. And sadly, and this might be the case for you, many of us were already disconnected from our bodies even before they died. We've been disconnected for a long time. Some of us have been living from the neck up for a long time. For whatever reason, we learned that survival strategy. We learned how to disassociate from what was actually happening in our bodies to the point that we don't necessarily know how we feel. So don't feel bad about it, but do know that we want to reconnect with our bodies. When we know what's going on inside of ourselves, that's when we can trust. So that might look like doing some tapping. It might look like grounding, a grounding practice. It might look like naming some emotions, noticing the sensations that you're having in your body, sitting quietly and just doing that without judgment. It might look like, where in my body do I notice when I feel a yes or when I feel a no? This is something I've been really practicing, is knowing that for me, my best decisions for me, not for everyone, but my best decisions, my body says yes or no. When I ask my body a yes or no question for me, I will get an uh-huh or an uh-uh. And if I am disconnected from my body, I won't hear it. I'll try to use my mind instead of my body. So we need to understand what is going on in our body. Now, your way of making decisions might be different than mine, but that's what's helping me. And if I'm connected to my body and I know what is that yes or no like for me in my body, very helpful. So this is not an overnight thing that we become immediately confident in. It's something that we do in layers. It's something that we can do in different ways over time. Here I am, 9 years after Hugo died almost, still learning new ways to do it, still evolving, growing, healing. But what I want you to do is start paying attention. Start noticing what's going on with your body. That's the first step. So noticing what's going on in our body. Secondly, separate your voice from the voice of fear. Most of us don't realize how much of our thoughts are shaped by fear or shame or other people's opinions, right? Insecurity, all different maybe flavors of similar emotions. So when you're trying to trust yourself, it can help to ask, is this my voice? Like, is this my capital S self voice? Or is this my brain trying to keep me safe? Is this the fear part of my brain? Is this a part of me that's afraid? Or is this my highest self? Would I think this if I weren't afraid? Can be another powerful question to ask. Would I say this to a friend in my shoes? Can help. Self-trust grows when you start recognizing which thoughts are yours and which thoughts are just noise and fear. And when I mean yours, I don't mean, of course, they're happening inside of your head. So in that way, they're yours. But are they the thoughts of your highest self? Are they your capital S self? Are they the you who isn't afraid? That's what I mean. This is also why tapping can be so powerful. When our nervous system is dysregulated, when we're feeling afraid or anxious or shut down, it's very difficult to hear our own voice. And this is why settling the storm inside, settling our nervous system can allow us to see a different level of thinking, experience a different level of thinking, simply because we have shown our bodies, our nervous systems, that we actually are safe. Number 3, practice making micro decisions. You do not build trust or rebuild it, as the case may be, by waiting to feel confident. Confidence is often the byproduct at the end. You've heard me say this before. You rebuild trust or get access to it again by deciding and then watching yourself handle the outcome. And this, you can start in the smallest way. That's why I said micro decisions. It can literally be, what do I want to eat? Am I going to send this email or not? Am I going to say yes or no to the thing that I don't really want to do? Am I going to, I make a tiny little plan to do something today. So maybe my plan is that I'm going to walk for 10 minutes. Can I follow through on that? It's about deciding quickly and not overthinking, checking in. What happened? What did I learn? And then every time we make a little micro decision, we have the opportunity to build a little more evidence that we can trust ourselves to show up. But it happens in the small moments. And I think sometimes we think about it, we only notice the lack of self-trust when the things are glaring and big. And what I want you to do is not wait until the things are glaring and big. I want you to use the small little everyday micro decisions as opportunities to build your self-trust. And then a part of this is number 4, which is using compassionate self-review instead of self-criticism. Compassionate self-review instead of self-criticism. What do I mean by that? Self-trust is not about perfection. It doesn't come from perfection. It doesn't require perfection. It does, however, require that we learn how to be kind to ourselves when things don't go perfectly, when we are not perfect. And newsflash, we're all humans. I am, you are. So we don't do things perfectly as much as we might like to. And we don't need to if we stop criticizing ourselves for that. We want to use compassionate self-review. So at the end of the day, when your brain is inclined to point out all the things you did wrong and all the ways that you fell short of perfection and all the things that didn't go perfectly, can you ask yourself to consider the day through the lens of compassionate self-review? What did I choose today that supported me? Where am I proud of myself today? And it doesn't have to be like we're trying to find all the things positive, right? It's self-review, it's honesty. So where did I abandon myself? Where did I override my judgment? Where did I not listen to a knowing? What would I like to do differently next time? Not because I'm a bad person, but because I'm learning. And these are muscles that I'm strengthening. Think of self-trust like a muscle that we're building. And the way that we build it is through intentional efforts. Those little decisions, that compassionate self-review, we look back and not beat the snot out of ourselves, but we look back and we honestly assess, okay, how did I do when it came to self-trust today? Did I do what I said I was going to do? If not, why not? Not, no, and you suck, but if not, why not? What happened there? What's the matter, love? My Brooke Castillo used to say that all the time, and it just resonated with me so much. Can we talk to ourselves like that? Not, you're amazing and everything you do is perfect. No, it's not that. It's, what's the matter, love? If I abandoned myself there, if I didn't hold a boundary, what's the matter, love? What happened there? What do we need to know there? Is there a part that needs to be taken care of here? And this is how trust grows, through honesty, through care, through trial, through error, through being kind to ourselves. And I really want you to hear this, and I swear I say it all the time, but I don't think I can say it enough. No matter what we do or don't do, being mean to ourselves is optional. Always. It's always optional. It is never an option we have to choose. We can always choose to be kind and self-compassionate. And don't take that and turn it into a should, please. Don't then tell yourself, I shouldn't be mean to yourself. Because shoulds are kind of mean. It's like, it is, how can I be compassionate with myself in this moment? How can I choose self-kindness? What would that be like? All right, number 5. Build a relationship with your future self. And this might sound strange, but it can be so powerful. If you struggle to trust yourself now, I want you to try imagining a version of you that's maybe 6 months down the road, a year down the road. If it needs to be longer to make it work for you, that's fine. Maybe it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Maybe you imagine yourself, you know, uh, I don't know, late in life. But imagine yourself in a place where your level of self-trust is high. And this can be an exercise in pretend. So it's okay if it feels weird, but if you are imagining that there is this future version of you and her level of self-trust is so high, it's so much higher than yours right now. Even if yours is high, by the way, let's crank it up as high as we can imagine it. And imagine as a result of this high self-trust that that future version of you has, imagine how her posture is different. Feel how she carries herself. I just changed my posture. Maybe her shoulders are a little more pulled back. Maybe, I'll probably have to adjust the microphone. Maybe her spine is a little straighter. Maybe this version of you that is so self-trusting in the future, her chest is more open, right? Do you feel that difference? It's like a proud chest. So she carries herself differently because she trusts herself. So find those changes in your own posture as you imagine that future version of you. Do you have it? If you don't have it now, I really want you to come back to it and do it with me. I want you to find it in your body. Get your body there. And then when you have embodied it in that way, you can ask yourself, what would she say to me today? And it's probably not going to be like a rah-rah cheerleadery kind of thing. It's going to be more of a grounded wisdom that she has. It's going to be more of a calm, comforting, reassuring presence. Do you feel it? If it's hard to do this with yourself, you could also consider somebody that maybe you already have a deep amount of respect or trust for, an elder of yours. And imagine what she feels like with the wisdom that she carries. And what words of comfort would she offer? This future version of you, this wise woman that you are embodying, what words of comfort would she offer? What would she do next? If she were in the exact same position as you are, what would she do next? You can borrow trust from the woman you're becoming when you learn to embody her, to consult her, to ask her. She is also you, and you are also her. So, if you have been second guessing everything lately, if you've been feeling stuck, if your brain keeps saying, you can't handle this, you don't know what you're doing, where did your confidence go? And your self-trust is low. That does not mean anything is wrong with you. It means it's time to rebuild the relationship you have with yourself. It doesn't have to be big. You can start small. Start where it's easy. Start where you know you'll do it. Let each little act of self-trust, each little use of that muscle build. And you do not have to be sure. I promise you that. Sometimes I am still not. But you do have to be willing to listen. Inward, not to others, inward. If you want help learning how to do that, this is what we do in my coaching programs. In fact, in Mom Goes On, we have an entire month dedicated to our relationship with ourselves. So you can go to coachingwithkrista.com. You can check out all the offerings that I have for you. And that's what I have for you this week. If this was helpful, share it with someone who needs it. If you haven't, take a second to leave a review. It helps more widowed moms find this podcast, which is my goal. And remember, I love you. You've got this. All right, take care and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. If you like what you've been hearing on this podcast and want to create a future you can truly get excited about even after the loss of your spouse, I invite you to join my Mom Goes On coaching program. It's small group coaching just for widowed moms like you, where I'll help you figure out what's holding you back and give you the tools and support you need so you can move forward with confidence. Please don't settle for a new normal that's less than what you deserve. Go to coachingwithkrista.com and click Work With Me for details and next steps. I can't wait to meet you.